Schedule of rates. Schedule of rates is a schedule maintained in a public works division incorporate the rates in respect of all the classes of works that are commonly undertaken in the division. The schedule facilitates the preparation of the estimate in the division. The schedule is also referred to the time of setting rates for work during negotiation with the contractor. It is prepared on the basis of rates. How the elements of cost of components items of work have been added up to arrive at the final rate. The schedule of rates is subject to the revision after intervals when it is felt that the market rates have gone up or down to such an extent that the schedule of rates has become redundant. Analysis of rates, on the other hand, is a component-wise breakup of the rates indicated for each item of work in the schedule of rates or in the estimate of the work. It is detailed working sheet showing the quantity and value of each input required to completely do an item of work. If some inputs are to be replaced by superior or inferior inputs, then the analysis of rates is handy to work out the rate for the modified item of work. It thus supplements and supports the schedule of rates. Refunds denote payment of certain items of revenue which was at some time collected and credited to government account or kept in the government custody in the cash book. For example, refund of earnest money deposit of contractor, refund of revenue already collected but ordered by government to repay the farmers to compensate them for the loss due to floods, etc. Remission is a term applied to non-collection of revenue due to government under the rules, but collection of which has been foregone by the government in special circumstances before the actual collection starts. Remission is foregoing of demand either in full or in part before it is actually recorded. Treasury passbook in case of public works department, it indicates a list of checks encashed at the treasury during a month against the account of particular drawing officer of the division. It is meant to enable the division officer to effect a reconciliation between the checks drawn by him or on his behalf as per his records and the checks encashed at the treasury during the month. This relates to checks drawn at the treasury. Treasury receipt. This is the monthly acknowledgement by the treasury of the sums deposited in the treasury during the month by the divisional officer or on his behalf. The divisional officer makes use of this receipt to reconcile the remittances into the treasury as per his records with the remittances as acknowledged by the treasury. This relates to amount deposited in the treasury. Departmental receipts means revenue realization made by the department. There are credited into the treasury bank as miscellaneous receipts of the public works department. Sale proceeds of fruit or trees along PWD roads, sale of old newspapers, irrigation canals receipts and example of departmental receipts. Departmental charges, on the other hand, denote percentage charges levied on works undertaken by PWD on behalf of other governments, commercial departments of the same government, and local bodies and private parties. These are levied on the percentage basis and are intended to recover the cost incurred by PWD on establishment its salaries, pensions, and leave salaries, etc., on tools and plants, and on which audit and accounts. Departmental receipts is a much broader term of which departmental charges is a small part. Issue of material of works. Material is treated as issued to work when the work is executed departmentally or by contractor whose contract is for labor rates only. A register of material at site is kept for which such materials issued and watch is kept against actual consumption and wastage and losses. Such materials at site is in the custody of PWD. Issue of materials to contractor of our works. In this case, materials are issued to contractors whose contract is for completed items of work, but the materials are required to be issued to him at a price in accordance with the contract, either in the interest of quality of work or for other considerations like short supply in the market. The custody of such materials lying at site adds that of the contractor and he is responsible for its safety. But the contractor is not at liberty to take away the unused materials without the consent of the divisional officer. If there is no such stipulation in the contract, materials should not be issued to the contractor except the exceptional circumstances. Direct charges means charges that pertains exclusively to any job under suspense head workshop expenses. These represent direct inputs in the execution of a job, such as direct material and direct labor. Materials purchased or issued for a job and wages to labor doing that job are example of direct charges. Indirect charges, on the other hand, are those which are not direct input on the job but have not necessarily to be incurred for the workshop as a whole. For example, machinery, cost of supervisory stopwatch and ward, interest on capital invested, water rent of workshop, etc. are not directly incurred for carrying out a single job, but each job must partake on the of a portion of these costs when we work out its manufacturing cost. The supervision charges, depreciation charges, interest, maintenance charges, rents are all indirect charges relating to the job undertaken. In irrigation project, there are two kinds of receipts: direct receipts and indirect receipts. Direct receipts signify those revenue receipts which are realized in connection with the supplies of water, etc. made from the canal or project. These are brought to account as directly pertaining to the project. These examples are sale of water for irrigation purposes, sale of water or towns, other canal produce, etc. Indirect receipts are those whose receipts which are only incidental to a work of project. These do not arise directly from the canal or revenue may increase due to better irrigation facilities, and a portion of such increase land revenue may be credited to the account of the project, but this portion of the land revenue due to irrigation projects would be indirect receipt. Intermediate payment, any disbursement on a running account but which is not final payment, is an intermediate payment. In the process of execution of work, a contractor may be paid payment for part of the work done at various intervals of time, or an advance payment for work done but not measured, or the payment of secured advance as per rules, as these payments fall in the category of intermediate payment. Advance payment is only one of the many categories of intermediate payments that may be made. This kind of payment is made for work done but not yet measured. It is adjusted from the contractor's bill for the work as soon as it's measured and paid for. Suspense heads of accounts. Each public works major head contains a minor suspense. Subheads falling under the minor heads, such as stock, business receipt, works advance, store service advance, are called suspense heads. Besides, these are suspense heads: suspense account, cash settlement suspense account, material purchase suspense account, material purchase settlement suspense account. These suspense heads are reserved for the temporary accommodation of such transaction as cannot be taken in the final heads of account immediately, either because recovery or payment or adjustment on the occurrence of an event is to be watched, or because control on the value of materials in stock is to be kept. Suspense accounts within a account of work, suspense transactions not relating to the division as a whole but pertaining to a specific work where recovery or payment and or adjustment is yet to take place, are taken to the suspense accounts within the accounts of the work. All these kind of transactions are debited or credited to the work concerned and are kept in the work abstract under suspense head. Examples: contractor advance payment, contractor secured advance, contractor other transaction, labors and land acquisition. First and final bill, when a single payment is to be made to a contractor or supplier on its completion and after satisfying that the work has been completely done as per specification and as per agreement, and no atom of the contract remains to be done, it is paid on a first and final bill. Running account bill, in cases where a contractor is to be paid at periodic intervals for that part of the work done. Till then, as per specification, the payments is called a running payment. The bills on which these payments are made are called running account bills. Thus, when periodic payments on account, advance payment and secured advances are paid to the contractor, it will be obvious that the system of running payment is in force and such payments will be made on running account bills. In the system of making first and final payment, there is no scope of grant of advance payment or secured advance or payment for a part of work done, while the remaining work is still to be done. Work abstract. Work abstract is a record of all transactions of cash, stock, or transfer entry relating to a work that take place during a month. This abstract shows transactions in separate columns. Each column represents decades of for work. suspense accounts within account of work, or in other words, it is monthly cost sheet of the work showing each transaction classified by subheads. Work slip. This is prepared expenditure on a work has exceeded the sanction estimate or an excess is anticipated. The excess needs approval or higher authorities. Work slip records the up-to-date expenditure on the work against the sanction estimate. It is indicated only the total figures of estimate as well as actuals. For each subhead in terms of quantity, rate and value, it is submitted to the superintending engineer to enable him to examine the cause of excess and to sanction the excess expenditure. Subhead. The term subhead of work denotes the subdivision into which total cost of the work is divided for the purpose of estimate and subsequent financial control and statistical purposes. For example, execution record, RCC woodwork, flooring, etc. are subheads of the work. Construction of residential of a deputy commissioner. Subwork. This term is applied to a distinct unit of large work when it is of sufficient importance to keep the accounts thereof separately. Men's hostel, women's hostel, science block, arts block, etc. may be treated as subwork of the work. Constructing a government degree college building. Administrative approval. A government college building is to be constructed by PWD, but is to be used by the education department. PWD is the technical department, where the education is the administrative department. Administrative approval is the concurrence of the administrative department to the incurring expenditure on their behalf. It is only signifies acceptance and of the administrative department that the proposed work meets their needs. It carries no more authority. Technical sanction. This is responsibility of PWD. The technical department, the grant of technical sanction signifies that the design is technically sound, suitable to the needs and reasonably economical. It is also signifies that the estimate of the quantity of work and of cost have been based on adequate data and sound and authorized rates. Receipt is an acknowledgement of cash received by a public works officer or subordinate who are authorized to receive money on behalf of department. It is issued in Form 3 CPWD code as the mark of the fact that the amount mentioned in the